Hello, very good morning. I want to share with you a beautiful experience that I had today when I sat down for a bit of body-mind alignment, call it meditation. As I sat down, maybe for about 10-12 minutes, and the mind quietened down, and there was no noise, there was no hurry-burry, there was no pressure to get somewhere, and I was enjoying that quietude. And something beautiful emerged, so I paid attention. And what emerged as a result was an understanding of the nature of being. Now, when I say the nature of being, I'm referring to the nature of soulfulness, the nature of being in touch with your source, which is universal consciousness, or aligning with your Atma, the core, getting in touch with that formless, unlimited, all-prevailing, eternally fulfilled, wholesome energy source from which all our forms and creations do take shape, do take form, come into world of objective material reality. A metaphor emerged in my mind related to nature of this inner core of ours, inner core of the being, essence of all of us, the essence of creation, essence of this world of forms. And for our convenience, since we need to have a reference, we need to have some identified way of recognizing things, we need to use a word to describe what is an undescribable phenomenon. It's such a strange challenge. In the world of objective reality, which helps us to make meaning, which helps us to create understanding, which helps us to identify things, we need to have a word to describe something. For example, the moment I say spectacle, you understand that this is the stuff that we are talking about. When I say my mobile phone or iPhone, you understand the stuff that I'm talking about. So how do we understand the stuff which is the source of all our existence, which is the very source of creation, which is the very essence of everything that is manifesting into forms? And a reference for that, an identification for that, is the word that I'm using, which I'm calling it as the universal consciousness, or Atma, which is a very close word to that in the Indian language, or soulfulness. Because soulfulness is the essence of all rollfulness. Everything which has got a very clear identity and a particular kind of utility plays a role. So the mobile plays a role, the spectacle plays a role, this man plays a role, this father plays a role, this brother plays a role. So soulfulness is the origin for all the roles of life. And the roles of life are identified by the objective reality, which is essentially the world of forms. So the beautiful idea that emerged in the mind was a metaphor to this. And the metaphor was something like a beautiful building, a villa, a bungalow, a house. Now, for a house to be existing over there, you need to have foundation. Then on the foundation, you put up the pillars and the beams. And then once you have this basic structure of the pillars and the beams, you create the inner dimensions of that home. You have different rooms. You have probably a drawing room. You got a bedroom. You got a bathroom, a kitchen. Then after some time, you finish the house and then you bring in the furniture, you put the carpets, you put the curtains. You also do a little bit of interior, you fix the lights, you fix, if necessary, an air conditioner. A lot of things that you set up over there. Now the interesting thing is, what stays forever constantly over there? And what is temporary? The fact of the matter is, the bulbs in those chandeliers, they will fuse. Maybe once in 6 months, and you'll have to change them. Maybe the curtains will get faded out, the upholstery in the furniture will get faded out, maybe once in a few years, and you'll change them. Maybe after about 5 years, you'll get fed up with the furniture, or after 10 years, you will redo the interior of the house. Maybe sometimes, as a part of your overall strategy of contemporary styling, you may even change the windows and the doors and the kind of stuff. So all of them are subject to changes and transformation, sometimes in short term or sometimes in medium term or sometimes in long term. Maybe maybe really after about 60 years, 75 years, 100 years, you may decide to do something else in that place, and you may demolish the whole structure, dig out even the foundation, break all the pillars and beams, and then you may redo the whole thing. So maybe that has got a very, very long term. But there's one thing which doesn't change at all. And can we guess what it is? Any guess? The space on which that home was built, the space into which the foundation was dug, the pillars and beams which stood there in the space in which the windows, the curtains, the furniture, every room took shelter, the space through which you and I, as the occupants of that house, walked, that space is forever. It will never change. Different objects, different forms, different shapes, different structures can come from short-term changes, medium-term changes, and long-term changes. Space doesn't change. Space is. And that isness is the beauty about the constant factor. It is. It is present and it continues. It is present and it is continuous. It's a present, continuous reality. Being is a present, continuous reality. Soulfulness is a present, continuous reality. And that reality is the core of myself, yourself, every human being around. Why human beings? Of every entity, every form that is objectively visible in this creation. What a beautiful truth, my dear friends. The core of all of us, which creates the immensity of possibility and the transformation or change of forms as human beings, as plants, as nature, as inanimate things, in this whole drama of evolution and change. All these objects, all these materials keep getting transformed, generated, reformed, again recreated. But the core of it, that core causative factor, continues to remain, like the space which can never be taken away. Your being, our being, the universal consciousness is eternal, all-pervasive. If we recognize that and think there is no difference between you and me other than our form, which is a temporary phenomenon. If in our core, you and I are the same people, is it not a matter of celebration? In fact, you are I and I am you. It is inseparable. Only in the limited edition, the limited existence of forms. I could be Rajaah, you could be somebody else. You could be a woman, you could be a Hindu, you could be a Muslim, you could be a Christian, you could be an American, you could be a New Zealander, you could be an Australian. You could be a plant, you could be a tree, you could be an inanimate stuff, you could be an iPad, you could be a laptop. But in our essence, we are all the same. When we discover the core of our being, we truly recognize our unlimitedness. And that is an opportunity for every one of us to recognize. Get rid of all this animosity and distance and differences because of our forms. Because our forms, they determine our roles, they determine. As a result of that, our roles determine a lot of times our background, our beliefs. And our beliefs determine the kind of things that we hold on to become rigid. And the moment we become rigid, it is exactly the opposite of space. Space is all-prevailing. Anything which is rigid is just entrenched in one place. That's called the mental block. Let's give up the mental block and discover this immensity of our being. The possibility of living life unlimited. This glorious truth that you and I are the same, one and the same. Let's celebrate this immensity, this togetherness. All the very best. Good luck.